What is up, guys? My name is Daryl, and in this video I'm going to show you all how to use the Slider Revolution Premium plugin for WordPress. Now, the Slider Revolution is the #1 selling slider plugin for WordPress because you guys can create some pretty amazing sliders with this plugin. And this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to use it step by step. So by the end of this tutorial, you guys can create beautiful sliders that look just like this right here. And this slider is pretty amazing. You know, you can time the animation, you can time the button, you can time the text. You have full control over your slider. So in this tutorial, I'm going to make sure that you guys walk away knowing how to use this beautiful slider. Now, it also has some pretty amazing features, like right here we have the Ken's burn effect. So you can see how the screen is kind of zooming in. And also, for those of you who love those beautiful video sliders, I'm going to show you how you can create your own video slider as well. Now, let me show you all what we're going to be making in this tutorial. So we're going to be making 3 sliders to make sure that you guys can walk away from this tutorial knowing how to use this slider and mastering it so you can apply it to your own website. So first, we're going to be making this slider right here. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page. Now, right off the back, you guys can see the text has this animation right here. The 5 came in at a certain time, and then this did. And then also, if you notice by the click here button, you can see the animation kind of curve into the button. So I'm going to show you how to do that with this slider so you guys can apply it to your website. So we'll be making this slider right here. After that, we're going to be making this slider right here. Now, this slider has parallax effect, it has image animation, and right here we have this button. Now, you can link this button to any page, you can link it to the next slide, you can link it anywhere you want. So I'll show you how to do that in this tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page right here. Now, I'm going to show you how you can actually time these images to come in when you want. And also right here, we have that animation. So I'll show you how you can do this to your own website. And lastly, of course, we have this beautiful video slider. So I know many of you like video sliders. So I'll show you how you can actually apply this to your own website. And you can time the animation. You can put the button wherever you want, etc. Now, let me kind of show you guys under the hood of how this actually works, because I bet you're wondering, how does this actually work? So basically, it's very similar. So it's created with a front end editor, so you can basically see and preview all the changes that you're making. So for example, right here, instead of saying bright lights, I want to say something like, let's see, bright colors. I'll put bright colors. All right, and then I'll go ahead and click on that. And then up here, I can go ahead and preview it so you can go ahead and see how it looks. Now, you guys can also change it how it looks on mobile. So I'll show you how you can optimize this for mobile. And that's pretty important, guys, because there's actually more mobile users than there are desktop users today. So we really want to make sure that our site is optimized for mobile. So I'll show you how you can properly optimize your slider for mobile as well. And you guys also get a lot of templates, and I kind of want to show you guys some of the stuff that you guys can actually create with the plugin. Now, these sliders right here were all made with the Slider Revolution plugin. And guys, the slider is the most important part of your website because you only have around 3 to 5 seconds to convince someone to stay on your website. And if you have a beautiful landing page that looks just like this right here, you can be certain that people will stick around and browse on your website. And this is actually one of the templates that you will receive. They give you tons of templates with the Slider Revolution plugin. So once you guys kind of learn how to use it and you get your feet wet, you guys can then use their templates and modify stuff to make it look exactly how you want for your website. So there is a link in the description of this video. It will take you to a page to purchase the plugin, and you should be brought to a page that looks just like this right here. Now, one thing I want to note is their support is actually pretty good. I'm not trying to like kiss their ass or anything, but when I submitted a ticket, these guys got back to me within a few hours. So it was really helpful because I know there's companies out there where you submit tickets and it's like they don't get back to you for like 2 or 3 days. It's like a nightmare, but this company is actually really responsive to their customers. And I personally have purchased and used this plugin. In fact, it's actually on my website. So if you go to my website, darylwilson.com, you'll actually see this same slider on my website. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. You guys will, of course, go ahead to, add to cart, buy it now. I wouldn't get their, their support extended. It's up to you. If you, plan on using it for a long time, then yes. But if not, I would wait on it. But I'm going to go ahead and sign into the account. And it's in your download section. So once you actually purchase it and you go to your downloads, you'll actually get the downloadable file along with the text code. And the text code is used for templates. So if you guys want to use some of their templates, You guys need to put your code in, and then you can have access to their library of templates. Now they also have a really cool feature that I kind of want to show you all. They actually have this object library. So basically they have a lot of these objects in their library, so you don't have to spend time trying to find different icons or backgrounds. A lot of the stuff is in here for you, so you can just just add it to the library, add it to your slide, and you're all set. You're all ready to go. So you not only get the slider, you get tons of other stuff, guys. So I highly recommend buying it and using the code, and I'll show you guys how to enter the code. So I'm gonna go ahead and find my plugin right here. I have a lot of plugins, I have a lot, So this right here is the plugin. So right here, you can click on download, and then you can do installable file only. Now this text right here in this PDF will give you your license code. So once you purchase it, you will need a license code to activate it on your WordPress website. So these right here will give you the code. So once you purchase it, you can go over there. Now to upload it, you just need to click on installable WordPress file only. And then you can see right here on the bottom left how it has downloaded. And all you need to do is upload it to your WordPress website. And I hope you guys know how to upload plugins by now. I hope you guys do. If you don't, we're gonna go to our plugins right here, and then go to add new, and then upload plugin, and then simply go ahead and select the file, and then right there it'll activate. Now once it activates, you get this little tab right here for slider revolution right here, and this is all the settings, and this is where you can add all the slides. But before we do that, I want you guys to go to my website and download the demo images for this tutorial, just because it will help you out. The link is also in the description. You guys can just go to my blog and find it right here, the Slider Revolution tutorial for WordPress. And it has the images, so all you need to do is just click on download images, and you can download all the images. And also for those of you who want those video backgrounds, if you want the laser one in particular, you can get it right here. All right, so I'm gonna go back over here, and now once we're here, I want to go to Slider Revolution and click on Slider Revolution. We're going to actually create our first slide. So this is the page that we brought to, and we have this plugin activation. So you can go ahead and click on register Slider Revolution, and this is where you're going to enter your purchase code when you purchase the plugin from Envato. Now also this right here lets you know about updates. So if it's like orange, it'll say, hey, you need to update your plugin. Right here is basically letting you know if all your system requirements are good. And right here they have like the template library. So if you guys want to get the templates, you guys can go there and get it. However, I'm just gonna go ahead and make our first slider right here. So right here, I'm gonna go to new slider. And there's different sliders, guys. So we have like, post-based sliders, WooCommerce slider, Instagram. But for most of us, we're just gonna be using a basic default slider. Now right here, you're gonna go ahead and give it a name. So I'm gonna name it Paddywhack. And then Paddywhack, yeah, there we go, Paddywhack 1. Now we have different sliders right here, and I want to make sure you guys understand this correctly. This right here is like a carousel, so it basically has like a bunch of little ones. This right here is the standard slider, which we should select. Now, I want to let you guys know the hero scene, it's only for one slider, so make sure you have it on standard slider. If you only want one, then the hero scene is the right one. But for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the slider because I want to show you how you can add multiple ones. And also for right here under the slide layouts, I want to select full screen because I want to select full screen. And right here we have the custom grid size. So I want you guys to go ahead and turn all these on right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on, and on, and on. And I'll talk a little bit more about why we do this a little bit later. A lot of it has to do with mobile optimization. And now that we've done that, I think we're ready to go. So up here, I wanna go ahead and click on save. Now there also is another tab for the general settings. So right here, if you go back to slider settings right here, if you click on general settings, there are some options that we can look at, but for now, I'm not going to select them. So right here we have default. Now, one of the most common one is the default slide duration. So this is basically how long your slide is going to show until it slides on to the next one. So right here, I'm gonna set something like 7 seconds, 7,000 ms, okay? Now, a lot of these settings we don't need to mess with because we can change this in the slide editor. But one important one I want to note is the spinner. So right here under layout and visual, it's a preloader, but they call it spinner. Now we can actually change the preloader here, or you can turn it off. And they have different colors. Now you guys can set white, or you guys can set like a purple or a gradient color. So right here you see I have gradient. So if you have like a gradient scheme to your website, you can go ahead and add it. If not, you can go ahead and leave it, or you can go ahead and turn it off. So right here is basically turning it off if you do not want a spinner or a preloader. So right here, I'm gonna go to save settings. Now we'll come back to a lot of these options a little bit later, guys, and talk about like the parallax and 3D and everything else. But I just want to give you a basic understanding of the slider to show you how it works before I jump into any of these options right here. All right, so we're at this screen right here. Now, this is like the main dashboard right here. This is where all the magic happens. This is where we create the slider. And right here, we have like this little like checkered kind of Photoshop looking thing. Don't worry, it's really easy. Don't get scared. So right here, the first thing I want you guys to do is select a background image. Now, the great part about this new update, guys, is that they actually have an object library. So before, you kind of had to like scour the internet and you kind of had to like resize images, and it was a total pain. I'm not gonna lie, you know, sizing images is probably the most annoying thing with websites. But now we have the object library. So you can simply click on the object library, click on all JPEGs, and then right here you have a list of some really cool images that you can use for your website. And they have like medium, I guess this is large, and O. I don't know what the O stands for. So if someone in the comments can please let me know what the O stands for, that would be helpful. I just thought it would be like small, medium, large, but they have medium, large, and O, so yeah. But anyways, if you guys want to upload your own image, you can go to Media Library, upload files, select the files, and simply use the image that I provided. Now, I already have it in my library, so right here, I'm gonna click on this right here, and I'm gonna go to Insert. So my size is 1920 by 1080. All right, so we have Wonder Woman right here. Now, we need to add some text. We gotta add some stuff to that, okay? So it's very simple, guys. It's like layers. So right here under add a layer, we have a text, we have an image, we have all these other options like a button, shape, etc. Now right here, I want to select the text right here. So I'm gonna click on text, and we have this right here. So what do you want it to say? Well, I want mine to say slider. All right. Now right here, we have like a certain type of like, I guess you can say like a semi font. So right here, I'm gonna do fashion big display. You guys can go ahead and select whatever font you guys would like. And then right here, the font size, let's say, I don't know, 120. And then we have the line height. Now, I'll talk to you a little bit more about this, but I'm going to leave it right here, just 60, but I'm going to come back to that and explain what the line height really is, because right now you probably won't understand it. Now, for color, I want it black. I think black's, a good color for this. Now right here, I have selected railway, so I want to keep railway. Now right here, we have the font weight. So the higher the weight, like the more bold it is. So you guys can see right now, it's like really, really bold. And then right here, we can kind of reduce it and make it a little bit less, a little bit less. And then also right here, we can select letter spacing. So if you want to add letter spacing, you can add it right here, like 10 pixels. You guys can see it's kind of pushing out like that. So right here, I'm gonna do something like, I'll do 140, a little bit bigger, okay? And now that we have this set up right here, we can actually go ahead and preview it. Now we can also set like animations, we can set like a visibility, all this other stuff. So let's go to animations first. Let's go to animations before we preview this. So right here, I'm gonna go to animation. Now you see right here, this first one, this little first section right here, this is basically the introduction. So when it first comes in, what is it gonna do? Well, we want it to, short from top. We can do short from bottom. And this is giving you an example of a preview of what it will look like, okay? So, you have different ones like mask from left. You guys can kind of play around with these settings, guys. They have so much. Now, the reason why it looks like that, and I kind of waited for this because you guys might run into this problem where you have the slider and it's like, what the hell? It's all chopped off. It's because if you have big letters like most people do, you need to actually increase the line height. So right here, I'm gonna do something like 90 pixels. Let's do a little bit more, 100 pixels. Okay, now let's go back to the animation. And now you guys can see that it comes out perfectly, okay? So if you do have a big title, you need to make sure the line height is correct or else it's gonna be chopped off. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in something like, they have a lot of cool ones. I think the one I had before was like Power 4 ease in, I think. Okay. Well, something like that, whatever you guys want. And then this is the animation speed of it. So how fast do you want it to go? So you can do something like 300. And you guys can kind of understand just by looking at it. So 300, Or you can say, you know what, I want it to kind of drag out. So I want it to be a little bit longer. So let's do 4,000. When you do 4,000, it kind of slows, a little bit slower. So that's basically what that means. Now also right here, we have this option. We have character, word, and line. So character is based off the individual character. Word is based off word, line is based off line. Let me just give you an example just to make sure you guys understand. Now I'm gonna speed this up to 2 because that 4 is way too slow. So 2. Now I'm gonna do something like character based. Now you're gonna see how it's per character now? See how it kind of drags out by character? So S comes first and then it kind of keeps going like that. So that is basically what character based means. Now we also have word based, which is basically the entire word, okay? And then also we have line based, which is the entire line. So let's say you have more text right here, and if you want it to kind of like do the entire line at one time, that's what the line is, okay? So let's say, for example, we have like a bunch of characters right here, and you do word, it's gonna like do one word and then another word and then another word, etc. Okay, so I'm gonna do character based. And also right here, we have like the animation. We can do forward, we can do backwards. So right here, you kind of see how it comes out backwards, okay? And then we have middle to edge, which is like the middle part. So it's all about being creative, guys. So you can basically, be as creative as you want. You can kind of, combine all this stuff to make it look however you want. So this is the introduction, okay? So this is exactly if you want to introduce text. Now, if you want it to go away, this is the option right here. So for example, block to left, okay? Guys, there's so many animations, and I personally have not gone through every single one because there's a lot, and it's just amazing. It has a lot of cool stuff. So long to bottom. Okay, that looks good. Long to bottom, and then right here you can ease it out. Maybe you want it to go very slow or something. Okay, so right now I put 5 seconds. So basically I want it to kind of drag out as long as possible. So right here we see it has 5 seconds, so it goes pretty slow. All right, that's pretty cool. So it's just kind of messing around with this, guys, to see what you would like. So I'm gonna do something like 2 seconds. I don't want to make my visitors really bored. And then right here we can do like, line, or we can do character, etc. So now the whole thing goes away. Now if I do character based, it's gonna kind of disappear word by word. See that? Okay. And then also you can control if you want it from middle to edge, or however you want it, So there it goes right there. Okay. So also we have this setting right here. If you click on this plus icon, guys, you can get really customizable. You can really get in the nitty gritty right here. So you can basically control how it looks, how it comes in from the X and Y coordinates. So for example, right here, I'll set something like -175. And you guys can understand how this looks when you kind of when you actually visibly see it. So for example, I'll do something like, let's do 175. So it's going to come in at 175 angle degree. That's basically what it's doing. Okay, so right here, it's coming from the bottom in, and then it drags out. Now, a better way to see this visually is with objects. So we'll come back to more of this so you guys get a better understanding of the X and Y coordinates and also the Z, because it just looks a lot better with objects. So I'm just going to go ahead and say right now, I'm going to go ahead and leave all this. And also we have the same options right here. Okay, but we'll come back to all this just because the object, it's much easier to see it in, okay? So I added this right here. Now let's add another one. Now, if you guys want to duplicate your work, maybe you don't want to do everything all over again because you already have all this stuff right here. There's actually a little duplicate button right here, and you guys can actually just duplicate it and drag it down. Because I already have the font, I already have the color, I already have, the animations. I don't want to, keep doing all that stuff. So right here, I'm gonna go ahead and click on this and just do revolution. Revolution. All right, now this might be just a tad bit too long, so I might want to actually lower the size of this. So I'm gonna go click over here and go to style. Over here, I'm gonna do something like 120. And I'm also gonna reduce the letter spacing, let's do 5 pixels. Okay, something like that right there, okay? And again, we can add in the animation, but I'm not gonna add it in for now. We can add it in, well, I'll do it, yeah, here. I won't be lazy, yeah, see, good tutorials. All right, so, that's basically how you guys do the animation and stuff like that, all right? Now, another really cool thing I want you to do is go to add a layer, And I want you guys to go to, well, we have object and image, but I want to go to, we'll do object right now. I'll show you both. All right. So let's say you want to go ahead and add in an object. So right here, you can go ahead and just, browse through which category you want. So we have communications. And guys, the great part is that this wasn't around a few patches ago. So this is all brand new. So we have all these things you guys can go through and kind of mess around with and stuff like that. And, they have icons, PNGs. These are like the more of like the actual images and stuff like that. And they also have JPEGs and stuff. So you guys get the idea, But the one I'm going to select is, I'm going to go ahead and select, I think I'm going to select, let's see right here. There's so many. All right, I'm going to select this one right here. So content and then LC remove 24 pixels. All right, I'm going to add that one. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this down. All right, now I want to increase the size of this. This is a little bit too small, so I want to make it a little bit bigger. So to do that, I can kind of add that like that. And I basically created a divider. Now there's another way to do this. So if you go to add layer and you go to shape and click on this as well. Now right here, you can basically set any sort of shape that you want. So let's say you don't want to create an image from scratch and then bring it on your slider, which can be a lot of work. You can basically create this, and I'm gonna go ahead and make one right now. So I'll just give you an example. So my background color, I don't know, I'll just do black. Now also guys, you have the option of gradient effects. So if you guys like those beautiful gradient colors, you guys can now add those to your slider. Before, they didn't really have this. So this is a new feature, but I'm gonna select color because I want just a black one. All right, you can always give it a name. Let's say, for example, you make like a specific color and style. You can just go ahead and save it as a preset. Like I'll just call this one Tassadar, which is my favorite StarCraft character, and go to save. And then you can always save this and come back to it later. But for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and select. I'm just gonna select black. So this is my preset right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go to check. I'm gonna go ahead and select that again. Sorry. All right. Now border, I don't want a gray border, so maybe I just want a black border. Okay. Border radius. So if you guys like that round style, you guys can always do that. So maybe you want like 50 pixels, 50 pixels, 50 pixels, 50 pixels. It's basically just creating the border radius on the object. So if you guys want to add that, you guys can, do that as well. For this tutorial, I'm not going to do it. Now width. So right here, I'm going to add something like, I don't know, 50. You guys can see how it's getting really, really small. So maybe I want something like 300. Let's do 400. Now for the height, I want to reduce the height because I want to create a divider. So maybe something like 30. That's too big. Let's do 5. Okay, 5 is good. Now also padding. So if you guys do not know what padding is, it basically creates space around these objects so nothing can kind of get near it. That's basically what padding is. Okay, so you guys can get the little symbol right there. All right, now I'm gonna add this right here. Okay, now I'm gonna drag it. Now this one, I don't want it no more. I've changed my mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this and delete that. So to delete something, you click on it and you click on this little trash can right here. Okay. All right, and I'm gonna drag this up. Now you guys can also add in animations to the same exact thing. So, it's not just for letters. We can add animation to this thing right here. So, we can, add it from short to top. And then right here is where we're going to control the speed of it. So let's say, for example, long from left. So you guys can see how it kind of sweeps in from the left. Now, if you want it to come out really slow, you can increase the time. Okay. So now it's taking a little bit longer. Okay. Now I've added that, so I've added my title and I've added my divider. Now let's say I want to add in some more text. Well, add text, and then right here, I'm gonna click on this right here, okay? Now I'm gonna go to my secret website, all right? Secret websites, I'm gonna go to my secret websites, get some dummy text. All right, so this is where I get all my, stuff, So go over here, and I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. I'm gonna go back to this section right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and paste it. Okay, now we can't see this because it's kind of like a white text right there. So let's see right here. I'm gonna do that one more time. I'm gonna add this. There we go. Sometimes, guys, it does weird stuff, So I'm gonna go ahead and select the color. There it is. We got it right here. Okay. Oh, and here was the other one. I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah, one thing I want to point out, guys. this slider does glitch out a lot. So if you're doing something and it's not working, my best advice is just to delete whatever you're doing and then like save it and refresh the page, because I've used this plugin for about 2 years and I've run into just nightmare issues where I'm just like, what is this thing doing? Like, it would just do his own, it was like his own boss. He's like, I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna do this, it wouldn't listen to me. So it does that sometimes. So we have this text right here. Now I did this purposely because let's say you guys want a lot of text on your slider, and you can see right here how this is going off the page. Now this is not what we want. So we need to fix this. So really quickly, I'm gonna change this to something like, I'm gonna change the font, and then I'm gonna do railway. It's way too big, so I'm gonna do something like a 20 pixels, or we'll do 15 pixels. Okay, so we have the height right here. So the next thing we need to do is basically make sure that this is not coming off the page anymore. Now to do that, we're gonna click on this thing right here. This is the auto line break. I'm gonna click on this. Now we are going to set the width. So right here, I'm gonna set something like 500 pixels. So now basically I'm saying I only want this text to basically go 500 pixels. So if I put more, it's going to basically increase. It's gonna be like right here, see that? Okay, so that's an example of what this is. So right here, I'm gonna do something like 400. Now right here, the line height is a little bit too tall. So I wanna kind of change it to like maybe, that's a little bit too small. So let's kind of mess around with it, 30 pixels. Okay, and then maybe increase this a little bit more. Okay, so that's basically how you can, fix your text to make sure it's not like dragging off the page and stuff like that. Then you can kind of like move it around and like position it wherever you want. Now, if you guys want everything to align perfectly, you guys can actually see where the X and the Y coordinates are to make sure that it's aligned properly. So for example, these two right here are both at 100, so they align properly. So if I want this right here, I can kind of put 100, and then it will align with the other ones right there, okay? So that's an example, okay? So now that we've actually added this in, and we've added, our text and everything else, and I'm showing you how to, protect your text. The next thing I wanted you guys to do is add a button. So right here, add a layer, and we have button. All right, now you guys can go ahead and decorate your button right here. So I think they have gradient buttons now. I think they do, I'm not sure. But I'm gonna select this one right here, click here. Let's see right here, okay. Now I actually did that a little bit too quickly. I should have done it a little bit slower, but I'm gonna go ahead and delete this because you know what? I'm gonna make a new button. That's not the one I want. So add a layer, button. Now right here we can, select all that, and then right here we can do like the color, gradients. Yeah, you guys can select the gradient color. I know many people love the gradient feature, so that's basically how you can, kind of mess around with it. Or you can just have a solid color, okay? So right here, I'm gonna go to the background. I want it black, which is the one I preloaded before. Let's see here, black, core, did that work? Yeah, okay. Sometimes, guys, the plugin just does weird things. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on that. Now for the color, that looks good. The text icon, we can go ahead and change that to something else. And then right here, we have Roboto. You guys can always change the text. The hover state, so if somebody hovers over it, what do you want this thing to do? So right here we have a background, how it kind of turns white. Now if you don't want it to change anything else, we can just go ahead and leave it at black. So now if they hover over it, it's gonna be black. But you might want to change the color of the text. So something like something like white. Let's see right here. We can change it to something like, here we go. Okay. And then, the text right here, click here, or we can put something like begin, or, whatever you want. This is basically just how you guys decorate the button and everything. So, all right, here's the button. I'm gonna select this one right here. All right, so we got the button, and I'm just gonna go ahead and select it right there. So I got my button. Now, let's say you guys want to go ahead and make some changes to it. Maybe, you didn't want to do all those in the options. You guys can always do the same thing right here, guys. The same thing that we did for these other two, you can change the animation. So for example, 25 pixels, or you can, do the line height, change the weight of the text right here. Okay. You can change the font, etc. Okay. So one thing I want you guys to do is go to animation. So if you guys want to animate it in, you can go ahead and go like, from long from right, or however you want it. And it's going really fast because of our animation speed. So I hope you know how that works by now. So if I add more animation speed, it's going to be slower. So basically saying 5 seconds now. So whoop. Okay, so you guys can get really creative with this kind of stuff. You know, I'm sure right now you guys are like, oh my gosh, I can really add a lot now, you know? So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave it at that. Now, I think that's kind of ugly. I wouldn't have that on my website, but yeah, you know what? No, we're not doing the animation. That one is pretty ugly. So from block from top. Okay, that's not bad. I'll do 300. Make it quick. Okay. Now, one more thing I want to show you guys is the object. Okay, so we talked about the object and those other options earlier, and in the next section, we're really going to do rotating objects. We're going to have objects slide in. We're really gonna, you know, push the slider to its limits to, you know, teach you guys everything there is to know about the slider. But right now, I'm just gonna go to Add Layer, and I want to go to Image. Now, I actually have another image in the library that I'm going to use. It's the number 5. So I'm going to go ahead and find it. I think it's in here somewhere. It's in my media library. I'll make sure to add it in there. Yeah, right here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Now, this is way too big by default. So I'm going to show you guys also how to resize images. It's pretty simple. It's kind of just like, I don't know, like Photoshop, where you just kind of take this and you just kind of grab the tip and just kind of drag it down. Okay. So you guys can see it's getting smaller. All right, and I kind of wanted to give it like that exponent look, you know? So right here, I'm gonna drag it down really small. Oops, this is 100. Okay, and then right here, I'm gonna go ahead and put it right there. Okay, so right here, I have the animation, and now I kind of want to mess around with this a little bit, you know? So right here, I'm gonna go to my offset, and then right here, we can kind of like do like -100. So it's basically coming in at a -100 of the X coordinates. So from left to right. So you can always change this, you know, to, you know, whatever number you guys can possibly think of. So -50. And then we can kind of change it even more to like, I don't know, like minus, you know, however you kind of want it. So now you see how it's -300, how you can kind of see it coming from there. Or we can do -800. Where it starts coming in from right there. You see that? Okay, so that's basically kind of giving you understanding of what it is. It's basically showing when it starts to appear. Like how many pixels do you want it to show appear? So if I have 100, it's just gonna start, oh no, not 1,000, 100. Okay, so if I add 100, it's gonna show up really quickly. You see that? How it's just coming in really quickly? It's basically starting to come in at 100 pixels. You can do the same thing right here. So we can do something like minus, you know, 50 or something like that. Now you see how it's coming in at the Y coordinate at a -50 pixels angle. See how it's kind of coming in like that. So also you guys can do something like, I don't know, like -175. You guys can kind of go through all these and just, you know, you'll get the understanding of it just by messing with the options, guys. So -100%. Okay, and then right here, we can kind of like set this to something like, I don't know, we'll set this to minus, I think these will go by degrees. Or pixels, sorry about that. So again, you guys can kind of like get the understanding. This is basically how it kind of flips over. So I'll go ahead and preview this a little bit later so you guys can get a better understanding of it. Now also for the opacity. So if you want it to kind of like be darker or something like that, this is where you're gonna do it. So let's see right here. So right now we have it at 1, but if I change to something like 0.5, it's gonna kind of be a little bit less. See how it's kind of fading in? See how the number kind of is fading in a way? So you can get a better look of it at like 0.2. See how it's really faded at that point? So that basically just controls the opacity of it. But 1 is basically like the average one, but 1 is set by default. So rotation. Now I'm actually gonna go through all the stuff on the next slide because you'll get a better understanding of it when you see an object like skew or rotate or scale, okay? So make sure to stay to the next section because I want to talk about how to make stuff rotate and stuff like that. But let's say, for example, you guys want to take a look at our slider now. You know, I think it's all ready to go. So right here, I'm gonna click on this little preview. And there you go. So now we have our slider coming in and it looks good. Now, what you guys can do if you guys really want to see how it looks like step by step, you guys can go ahead and click on save. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and take the short code and I'm going to add it to the slide so you guys can see it live. Because sometimes this preview thing is somewhat glitchy. Sometimes it is. Like you guys just saw how the girl didn't show up before. Now she shows up. So you guys are my witnesses. All right, you guys are all my witnesses that this plugin does have a lot of glitches. Okay. Now, one thing I want to let you guys also know is that you guys can also see how all this looks from here. So if you click on the play, you guys can kind of see how it all, like you can time the animation. So you can time when something comes in. So right here, you can time the button when it wants to come in, and you can go ahead and preview it. It's kind of hard to see. I wish they made it a little bit easier to see, but you guys can always just go to preview settings as well. So basically what I did was I made the button come in a little bit later, okay? So right here is like saying I want to have a 3-second delay for the button to come in. Now if I do something like right here, I'm setting a 3-second delay for the button to come in. So after 3 seconds, the button will show up. So you can kind of time your text to kind of do whatever you want it to do. So I'm gonna go to save right here, and I'm gonna go to preview, and the button is gonna show up 3 seconds later. All right, or it should. 1, 2, 3. There it goes. Okay, so that's basically what that feature does. All right, so now that we've actually set that, let's go ahead and let's test the slider. Let's go ahead and test it to see if it's actually working. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to the slider settings. And guys, we'll come back to all this stuff a little bit later. This is just just a taste of it because it's better to use objects to make you guys get a better understanding of that. So I'm gonna go to my slider settings. Oh, actually, one thing I want to do. Sorry, guys. Whoops. So let's say you want this button to link somewhere, right? How do you do that? We're gonna go to actions right here. Okay. So right here, I'm gonna click on this little thing right here. Now, if someone clicks on it, what do you want it to do? You want it to go to a simple link, or you guys want it to go to jump to next slide, or to the previous slide, or to whatever slide you want. Now, since we don't have any other slides created, if I do like jump to the next slide, it's not gonna have anywhere to go. All right, so maybe a simple link. So I'm gonna take them to my website. So HTTP, TBS, I got the SSL, And I want to do this on a new window, all right? So I'm taking them to my website, all right? So if they click on this button, they will then be brought to my website, all right? So that is what the actions does, all right? So right here, I'm gonna go to save. And I'm gonna go to my slider settings. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and take this right here. I'm gonna copy it, all right? And I'm gonna go to pages and go to add new. Now I'm using the Divi theme. So there's a special way to sort of make this thing work on my theme, but on most of your themes, you're gonna go to your text and go ahead and paste it in there. And then from there, you should actually get it to work. But I'm using Divi, so there is a special way. So I'm gonna do paddywhackers. And if you guys are using the Divi theme, which most of you or some of you might, you're gonna go to a full width module, insert a module, and go to insert code and simply go ahead and paste that bad boy in there. Go to save and exits, and now guys can always go ahead and click on preview, and then you should see an example of what your slider will look like right here. Okay, and then 3 seconds, voila, there you go, perfect. So depending on your theme, I don't know which theme you're using, but you can always like get rid of the menu, or you can, if you guys have any problems, guys, just contact the theme company or the other company, or Themeco. I think Theme Punch, the guys that make the plugin. Okay, so now that I've showed you guys how to kind of just make a basic slider, let's get a little bit more advanced, and let's go ahead and create another slider with objects coming in. And time the objects, change the degree of the objects, get really in the nitty-gritty to make sure that you guys fully understand how to use this plugin, okay? And also, guys, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel, all right? I never say that in any of my videos, but I should. I really should more, because I get people like, I just should. I should be more of a salesman, it's shame on me. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and publish this right here. All right, so let's get a little bit more advanced. Let's say you guys want to have a slider where stuff really kind of comes in and, really starts to utilize the slider. We're going to do that today. All right, so we made one slider. This is paddywhack. So I'm going to click on this right here. Now, I want to create a second slider. All right. Now, also, guys, they have tons of templates. All right. But I don't recommend using the templates until you guys understand how to use this plugin, like from A to Z. So I'm not going to go ahead and go through that. I'm not going to use the templates right now. All right, but we're gonna go ahead and click on add a new slide, and we're gonna create our second one. Let's see, add a blank slide. All right, so we have our second slide right here, and we can go ahead and give it a name if you want, you know, or I'm sorry, this right here gives the ability to make it your standard slider. So if I click on that, it makes it your main one. Okay, so I don't want to do that, but right here I'm gonna go ahead and change the name to, oh, we'll do slide 2. You know, we'll just do slide 2. Okay. So for background image, I'm not gonna set anything. All right, because I want a white background, and for my color, let's go ahead and set it to white. You know, or we can even set it to gradient. You know, you guys can have a cool gradient background. I know people love gradients. I work with a lot of people and they're just like, I want gradient, and I'm like, oh, it's not that good, but okay. But no, it is really good. So I'll go ahead and set it to a white right there. Okay, solid color, white, and voila. Okay, and we'll get more into like the YouTube videos a little bit later. I have some personal recommendations about some of the videos with this slider. So we have this background right here. All right. Now let's just go ahead and add a layer right here. We're going to add some text. Okay. We're going to add in, add in your name or add in your company name or something. I'm just going to put in Daryl Wilson. Okay. And then right here, I'm going to select Railway again. Select my little font I want. All right. Now I want to center this. So I want it centered and I want it in the middle. All right, so now we got this text right here all in the middle. So we're good in the middle. All right, so this right here is aligning center. You can always align right, and this is align middle as well. So maybe I want this a little bit bigger. Let's do 100 pixels. No, way too big. We'll do 90. We'll do 80. Well, 80 is good. And we have Railway, and we have the fonts and everything else. Okay, now let's just say I want to give this an animation. Okay, so I'm gonna go to animation, and let's just say I want to do something else. Let's make this good. Left to right, fade in. Oh, wow, that's the one I had before. You know, guys, I'm not even scripted. I just know how to use the plugin. So basically, I want to go ahead and leave it at that. So I set it to forward. You guys can always set it to like backward too, or something like that. Let's see, it should come into the backwards. See that? Ah, that's pretty cool too. Maybe, we'll do it forward. I like it forward. It's better. Okay. So I have this right here, and then I can add in like a second layer of text. You know, like make your website. Okay. And then right here, I'll click on this, and I'll go ahead and put this right here. I'll go ahead and align this to the center. So the style, I'm gonna go ahead and align this to the center. All right, I'll just go ahead and change the text, or the color. So right here, I'm gonna go ahead and change the color a little bit. I should change the font. The font is just not good for that one. We'll just gamble. We'll just we'll put it to this one. There we go. Make the website. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add in another one is the button. So for this background, I want like a bluer background this time, you know. Or we can even do gradient. I should do gradient. Okay, so my background is gradient. All right, and then right here the color is white. The border color I'm going to select as no border. So to have no border, guys, I have right here is transparent. So I have no border basically. The hover state, so if someone hovers over it, what I want it to look like, I'm going to select we'll do another gradient color. We'll get crazy here, you know. And then, you know, for the color, black, we'll do white. Okay. All right. So this is a little, you know, you guys can see, you're my witness, you know, it does glitch out sometimes, you know. I kind of wanted it to do that because I know a lot of people come to me with questions sometimes and say, hey, this messed up. I said, hey, man, trust me. In the world of WordPress, just weird stuff happens, you know. So right here, I'm going to go to close. Or actually, I'm going to select one. I'm going to select this one right here. Okay, I'm going to line this to the center. And maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger. All right, and let's just go ahead and preview this right now. So over here, I'm gonna go and preview it. All right, so we got our slider there. All right, now let's go ahead and add in some objects and let's really start to kind of mess around with things. So right here under object library, I'm gonna click on this. I'm gonna go to icons, PNG, there we go, PNG. So we got, let's use this egg. Which one should we use? Let's use this egg right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a large one. All right, so guys, if you guys want to use these specific ones, you guys need to enter in the code, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video and enter in my purchase code. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, guys, so I went ahead and put in my code. Now I'm gonna go to the object library, and I'm gonna go ahead and select this PNG, and which one should we select right here? You know, I'm gonna select, let's select this coffee cup right here. So I'm gonna select a small coffee cup. Okay, so you guys can see it's appearing. I'll make it just a tad smaller and drag it up here. I'll go ahead and make it just a little bit smaller. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this some really cool animation, and let's also kind of time it to make it appear when we want. So right here, go to animation. Now we have fade in. I don't like fade in. We're gonna do something else better. We're gonna do long from left, and then maybe something like power ease in. I think this one's good. Okay. Now we also need to set the animation speed. You know, that's way too fast. So remember, the more seconds you have, the slower it's going to go. So see how it kind of just slides in there like that? Okay. Now we need to basically set the coordinates of how we want it to appear. So we'll go to style, animation. Click on this right here. Now, right now we have left. So it sets this left by default because that's basically the animation template that we have. So let's just change it. Let's just change it all. Let's just do it our own thing. So if you want it to be minus 100, it's going to come at a minus 100 from the Y coordinates. See how it's coming at a minus 100 angle? So it's coming from the top right here. So also, if we do it the other side, it's going to come from the opposite direction. Okay. Now you guys can also do pixels. So let's say, for example, you want to set it to like 900 pixels. Okay. Or we can do a negative 900 pixels to make it come from the opposite side. See that? Okay. And you can also do the same thing over here. You can set like pixels to basically kind of really angle it to the exact side that you want. So right here, I'll do something like 100 pixels. Okay. And then also we can do something like negative 100. And it'll just come out the opposite direction. Okay, so maybe if I add a little bit more, it'll basically come more at an angle right there. See that? Okay. Now also for the Z, so you guys might wondering what the Z is. Basically, this is how it like forms on your page. Now the best way I can use to describe it is just by giving you a plain old good example. So I'm gonna go to preview right here, and you're gonna see the cup kind of just swerve in. See how the cup just swerves in right there? Now if I give it a Z, it's gonna basically, it's like coming at a I guess like a 3D angle, I guess you can say it. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in like 500 pixels, just to give you an example. Now right here, you're not gonna be able to see it, but if I go to the preview, it's gonna kind of pop up at an angle right there. So you see how it came up from high to low? So it appears higher than it normally is. And then it kind of gives it back at the regular. So let's just do 1,000, just to give you a more cleaner example. Okay, so preview. Now, do you see how the cup comes from the top? So it's coming from the top. It's coming from like way up here, and it's just really like, it's like 3D. So that's basically what the Z function is, okay? But I don't want it, but there's a lot of good reasons why you can do that, because you can make like 3D animations almost with that. So that's pretty cool. Opacity, again, that's just like the, you know, the opacity of it. I'm not gonna mess with that too much because I don't really want it to disappear. The rotation of it. Now, this can be a little confusing, but the one I really want to pay attention to is this one right here. So this is the function that I really want. This will basically rotate the object as it is coming in. So for example, if I want it to come in at 180 degrees, it's gonna start rotating at 180 degrees. You see how it's starting to turn? So I'm gonna go over here to preview and give you a good example. Now, when the object appears, it's gonna start turning. So you're gonna see it. See how it kind of turns in at a 180 degree angle right there? So right here, you can see it's turning into this section right here. You guys can kind of do like a 380, or, you know, you can kind of mess, you can go crazy and, you know, just kind of get the animation that you want. So right here, I'll do preview, and you notice it's gonna come in at a circular motion. See how it kind of just swerves in there? So now if I take that off completely, it's not gonna have that twist. It's just going to basically just appear right there. Like there's no degree. Do you see the difference? So I hope you guys see the difference. Now I like the twist. You know, it's stylish, it's cool. Now these next two are for when the object is actually coming in on the screen. Now I don't like it because Well, at least with these objects, you might not want it, but I'm just gonna give you an example. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, okay, look, I'm gonna go ahead and do 180 degrees. Now, when it forms on the page, it's forming at a 180-degree angle. Do you see how it's kind of skewed? It's almost like it's forming. So it's not forming, it's just really coming in at a really bizarre angle. And you can also do it the other way as well. So I'll just do like 380. And like I said, the only way to see it is by going to preview. So right when it forms off the page, you see how it's coming in at that loop-sided angle. So it's coming in at a loop-sided 380-degree angle, okay? Now, I don't like those, but there are reasons why you would use those. Just with a coffee cup, you would not. But if you are using something like bright colors, you know, that might work. But I think this is, you know, suffice. So now we also have scale. All right, so again, the best way I can use to describe this is by just starting to add numbers, and then basically you guys can get the idea, because by default, it's really hard to actually see it. But the skew, guys, is basically coming in at a really bizarre angle. So it's coming in at the top. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just do something like, oops, sorry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and select this right here. It's like something like 5. Now, guys, be careful. If you add a lot of scale, it can actually crash the plugin. So it's kind of coming in at a scale right here. So I put 5. So you're gonna see it's kind of coming in like that. You see that? So it's not coming in from a 3D motion. It's kind of coming in from a circular motion angle. So the more you add, the more it's basically going to appear for the scale. I personally don't like it for this one, so I'm not going to use that. Now, again, you can also add it for this section right here, but you can kind of just mess with this, guys, and kind of get the idea. Now, again, this option right here, if you want to reverse the angle, you would just click on reverse, but I don't want to do that, okay? So that's basically scale. Now, again, scale, it's good in certain scenarios. Just for this one, it's not a good scenario, okay? Now, also, we have scale, or I'm sorry, skew. So again, we can go ahead and kind of like mess around with these settings right here to come in at 120 pixels. And again, the best way I can use to describe it is by previewing it. It's kind of hard to tell you like the exact word for it, but it's kind of skewing the object at 120-degree angles when it comes out. So again, we can test it out by increasing it, I'm sorry, pixels. So like 400 pixels, and then we'll go to preview. And again, it's skewing the object at 400 pixels. You see how it kind of comes in skewed in a way. So that is what the skew option does. But for most of us, we probably won't use this feature too much unless you are making a really complex slider, which I have used this in the past. I actually used this for a image of a guy, and he kind of like came in like weird. So it was a long time. It was maybe like 2 years ago when I first started building websites. So that's basically the skew function, okay? And we also have masking, and this can be a little complex, but basically you can kind of like set the mask of where you want it to kind of like start like, you know, cutting out. I don't recommend this at all, because this is a very good way to kind of cut your object in a way. So I don't really recommend masking, not unless you are doing something crazy, all right? And next we have filters. Now this will apply if you guys add filters to your picture. So for example, right here, if you go to the top right here under filters, you guys can actually set different filters for your images. So you guys can make them look however you want. Now a white background is not the best. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys an example of this really quick, just so you guys understand what the filters are. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add in, you know, this one right here. Okay. So I'm now not using the white background, but for example, if I go over here to my filters options, right here, my filters, I can then set a certain kind of a tone for it with these filters. And you guys can go ahead and, you know, select all these filters and stuff like that. And then these sections right here control like the brightness and like the grayscale and the blur for these certain type of filters, okay? But again, if you're using a white background, you might not want to add filters. It kind of might look weird a little bit. So for this example, I'm not going to use it, but that's basically how you guys can add filters. And then also colors. So colors would not work for objects. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and select this text right here, all right? Now on this text right here, I want to select it to something like a blue, okay? So a blue. Now I'm going to go ahead and go over here to preview. So now you're going to see the text kind of transform in a way. See how it was blue and now it's kind of turning into the correct color. So that's basically how, you know, if you want to go ahead and do that, you guys can go ahead and do that as well. So again, and it's loading my preview. All right, a little glitchy there, but see, it came from red to black. So you guys, sometimes this plugin does glitch out. I have used this plugin for a long time, so I'm pretty aware if it glitches out. The best thing I can do is just like close the browser or close the program, restart it, and it'll work just fine, okay? Just sometimes just weird stuff happens. And for the background, it basically starts off a certain background, but it always fades to black. So it can be a little bizarre sometimes. So I'm gonna go ahead and preview this really quick, just to give you guys an example. And again, it usually does change to black. That's because I have black text, so you guys might want to change the text if you guys use that option, but I never use that option. I would use this one because, you know, it's cool. It kind of like transforms your colors of your text. Okay, so that's a quick rundown, guys, of basically all these options right here. So let's add another object, and then let's time it right here to come in a little bit differently than the other ones. So tell you what we can do right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and just duplicate this item. You know, I already have one. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, you know what, I already have one. All right. And then I'll go ahead and make one more of these right here. Okay. So we got 3 coffee cups, you know, and they're all coming in from the same way, which is a little boring, but we might want to change that by setting the offset. So I'll set something here like, do 100%. Oh, that didn't work. 100%. There we go. Okay, or we can do something like minus 100%. Or we can actually set it to stage top, which actually would, if you guys want to just come out from a certain angle, you guys can always set that. And then right here, I'll just set this as inherit. Okay, so, and then this one right here, I'll do the exact opposite. Okay. So now it's going to come in at this angle like this, but you know, I don't like that angle either. You know what, we'll do something like this. We'll do minus 900, and then we'll go ahead and leave this one like that. Okay. Maybe we can do something like, yeah, I guess that'll work. We'll add a negative right here. Let's add a little bit more. I'll do a positive one. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. All right. So basically the kind of object of this, guys, is to make these all come in like 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to go ahead and move this section right here. So I have image 1, image 2, and image 3. Now I kind of want these to come in later. So 2 seconds, this is going to come in. So 1, 2, remember right here. Don't look at these numbers right here. They might confuse you. So just 1 second, 2 seconds. And then right here, I'm going to select this for 4 seconds. Okay, so one's going to come in right away. One's going to come in 2 seconds later. And the last one's going to come in at another 2 seconds. Now, one thing I want to give you guys a quick tip. These little things right here, if you don't have this clicked right here, guys, where it doesn't say wait at the end, it's just going to disappear after 3 seconds. Okay, so if you don't want your stuff to disappear, make sure to have that checked. Okay, so right now it doesn't say anything, so this will disappear after 3 seconds. If you click on this button right here where it says wait, it's going to wait till the slide is completely over, and then it'll disappear. Okay, so if you want your stuff to fade, that's how you guys do it right there. Okay, so my button's gonna fade here, or at least it should. All right, I'm gonna go to save slide. All right, now let's go ahead and preview this. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the coffee cups now. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and you guys have noticed my button also disappeared at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and preview that one more time. So right here we have coffee cup 1, coffee cup 2, and coffee cup number 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that one more time. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to refresh the page, guys. It's being a little weird. I'm getting those little weird squares and stuff. So if you guys run into that, don't be like, oh, Daryl, you never get errors on your tutorial. I get them all the time, guys. I really do. All right. So let's go ahead and preview this one more time. All right, coffee cup 1, coffee cup 2, and coffee cup number 3. And after 6 seconds, it's going to disappear because over here on the button right here, it's set to 668. Okay, 300, guys, is the animation speed. Okay, so don't get that mixed up. This is the animation speed. these are the actual seconds. Okay, so you guys can see. Now if I move this, maybe I can plan this a little bit later. Let's see, object 4, you know, 2 will come in at the same time, and then 1 will come in a little later. Okay, so I'm just kind of messing around with this to give you an example. So 2 are going to come in at the same time. All right, and then 1 comes in a little bit later. All right, so that's basically how you time your objects, guys. Okay, so if you guys are, you know, struggling with it, that's how you do it. And again, remember these little wait things. Okay, if you uncheck these, it can be a disaster for your slide. You know, things will just start disappearing for no reason. You'll be like, what is going on? So right here, you can see I'm pushing that. Now this is going to disappear at a much sooner rate than the other ones, and I'll prove it to you. So I'm going to get 2 that come out right away, and 1 disappears. Okay, so that's basically how it works. So you see how these 2 are set, but I made this disappear at a much faster rate. Okay, so now that I've shown you guys how to sling in objects, you know, you guys can kind of get a little customizable and stuff. But one thing that we do need to add is the parallax effect. We did not add the parallax effect here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one more time. And under parallax 3D, we have this error right here that says we need to select the parallax feature in the slider settings. Okay, so basically the plugin is kind of ignoring us because we don't have the parallax feature set. So I'm going to go to all sliders, and I'm going to go to, oh wait, right here, sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna go to slider settings, actually, slider settings. All right, now over here we have parallax in 3D. I'm gonna go ahead and enable this. All right, now also there's other options right here like scroll effects and other things else. A lot of these guys are based on the in the slider settings when you're messing around with it. But I'm gonna go to my slide editor, or save this really quick. Slide editor. I'm gonna click on this. And I'm gonna go ahead and scroll down now. So right now I have Daryl Wilson. Now I want to select a parallax section right here. So basically, guys, the more parallax you have, the more it's gonna go haywire. Now, the best way I can use to describe this, guys, is just to kind of mess around with it. So I have -10 right now at 46%. I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Now I don't think I can preview this and mess around. We'll see if I can. I'm not sure in the preview if you can or not. Oh yeah, you can. You see how my name is kind of like all parallaxed out, so it's kind of doing that. Now you can add this for each specific option, guys. You can add this to a background, you can add this to an object, you can add this to basically however you want it, because if you add like a small parallax, you know, it's not going to rotate as much. And remember, if you add this to your background, it's going to create that illusion that you know, the screen's like falling off with you. So I'm gonna go to save slide again and go to preview. Now remember, I set the parallax for one of the cups right here. So when the cup comes in, you see how it's kind of wiggling? Of course, it disappeared because I set the animation for it to disappear. But you guys saw it just, you know, kind of rotate. You guys can do that with all of your settings, you know. If you want to add the parallax effect to it, you can go ahead and add it to there, you know. So that's basically how you guys can add the parallax to any section. You guys can also add the Ken Burns to any of this stuff. So for those of you who don't know what the Ken Burns effect is, it's basically like a zooming in kind of feature. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and save this really quick. So before we continue to use like the Ken Burns effect and everything else, let's continue to finish this slide so you guys know how to properly use everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and just delete these right here, and we're gonna make the default slider from scratch. So I'm gonna go to the object library right here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and select one of the objects right here, the PNG. I'm gonna select this little tree right here. Okay, we're selecting the small tree. We'll do small. Okay. And then here we can go ahead and add in some animation. So again, we can go with, you know, do something like short from light or from right, etc. And then right here we'll add in something like 2000, very similar to what we did before. And then we can go ahead and select the offset. So right here I can set something like you know, 100. Kind of mess around with it, you know, just kind of get the feel of it, you know, of how I want it to kind of appear in. Okay, and then here we can set something like from the right. Okay, something like that. And then maybe we can add some degree on it. So right here I'll add like 180 degrees. and make it come in a little bit slower. So I'll add in 3 seconds. So you guys can see how it kind of comes in a little bit slower. Okay. And the cup of coffee is okay. And then maybe I want to add something down here. So again, object library. And then we'll go ahead and enter in, what should we enter in? We added like a piece of paper. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll enter in something like this right here. This one right here. We'll add a small one. Okay. So I'm basically just making like the same thing we made in the beginning of this tutorial. This is just like kind of like, you know, just to show you guys like how to do it step by step, you know. So again, we'll set the animation from from left, or yeah, from left. That works. And then right here, we'll set the degree. Okay, a little too fast, so we're gonna have to make this a little bit slower, like that, to kind of make it smooth in. And then, you know, I think that's basically how, you know, I think that's it. You know, we can always set a fade out. So if you want this to fade out a certain way, you can go ahead and do that. But I've kind of already gone over it, so I don't want to go over it again, you know, because it's kind of tedious at that point. And then we'll go ahead and add another object. And this time we can add in something like, I think they have like a black iPhone case. Or let's see here. I'll just go ahead and add in something else, something basic. But you guys get the idea. You know, I'm basically just making all the objects come in at a certain amount of time. All right, so we have this one right here. This is a little too big, but this is the actual object we need. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it smaller. Okay, I'm just making it smaller. That's it. Right here, go ahead and put it over here. You know, make it come in, you know, and so here we can set something like, you know, from the right, and then we'll make it come from minus 100%. Now again, guys, it is way too fast, so we'll set 300, 3000, and then again we can do something like, we'll set the rotation, give a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a rotation right there. Whoop. Kind of coming like that. Okay, and then again, guys, right here we can always set the time. So if you want these to come in at a certain amount of time, you guys can go ahead and just take this, and I want this to come in at 3 seconds, come in at 2 seconds. Okay, remember right here our line is 2 seconds, and these things right here, I want these things to wait. So I don't want these to disappear. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, set that. Remember, guys, if you deselect this, this will disappear at 6 seconds, but if you click on this right here, it's going to say wait, and that will basically say it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so let's go ahead and preview this. If there's any errors, we can go ahead and fix it along the way. So each thing will come in at a certain amount of time, and there you go. Now that's a pretty good landing page. Now you guys can add something else right here. Of course, on my website darrylwilson.com, it looks a little different. So all I really used was more objects. So right here, we added 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I added 3 layers of text. I actually used one of the templates that they had, except I just kind of remodified it. So right here, you know, I had 1 text come in, made it disappear, 2 text disappear, 3 text, okay? And then right here, we just have the images, and then right here we have a small parallax, and right here we don't have anything, but on the background image, we have just a little parallax. You know, right here, we have a little parallax. So this is my website. So again, guys, I'm using the slider revolution, okay? So that's basically a quick rundown, guys, of how you guys can basically create my event landing page. So if you guys want to do it, you know, I've basically shown you guys how to do it. It's just basically modifying it and, you know, making the objects a little bit bigger and stuff like that. Because you guys can see right here, everything rotates. Everything is, you know, kind of just like, watch, you guys will see it again. It'll rotate in. Everything comes in at the same time, however. But again, I'm just showing you, you know, how you can make them come in at different times or the same time or anything that you'd want, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and save this right here. Okay, now to make the option appear, you'll need to go to something like your main background. And then right here, you get the Ken's burn effect. And basically, guys, what this is gonna do is it's gonna kind of scale in, and it's kind of like zoom in on the picture very slowly. So for example, you can set like, horizontal offsets, like basically which angle do you want it to come in at. And you can also set a duration, like, like when you're zooming in on a picture, like how long do you want it to keep zooming? So here we have 10 seconds. And right here, I'll put something like from 100 to 300. So you can kind of see how it's kind of scaling in by percentage. So 100 to 300% over 10 seconds. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and set something like 200%, or something like you see how it's kind of zooming in at a very slow pace like that. And you can also set like horizontal, and you can kind of like see how it's coming in at a horizontal axis right here. So if you guys want to do something like that, that's basically how you do it. It's pretty simple, and you can also set the transition right here of like how you want it to come in. Okay. So right here we have, let's see right here. I'll go ahead and just give you guys an example. Let's just go ahead and save this, and I'll preview it to show you what it's looking like live. Okay. So I added that different background to it. Now if I preview it, you're gonna see we have the image right there, and it's slowly coming in. So you see how the image is starting to slowly come in like that. Okay. So that's basically how you guys can add the Ken's burn effect. All right. So again, you can do like a duration, like 5,000 or something. You can really make it zoom in really quick, So you can also change the center. So maybe from left top or something else. So I'll go ahead and press save. And then we'll do something like, yeah, that's too quick. Yeah, that's way too quick. So right now I put, from the left side from 100% to 200% over 8 seconds, and it's doing it over a certain amount of time. So you see how the picture's zooming in. So that's basically how you guys can achieve that effect. So you guys can kind of mess around with it. You guys can kind of get the idea. Like you guys can even do like 0 to like something else or something, but it's basically just messing around with it and kind of, learning how to fiddle with it and stuff like that with your horizontal and your rotation and stuff like that. So that's basically how you guys can add the Ken's burn effect to your slider. Okay. I don't want to go too much into it. It's not really crazy. Now, one thing I do want to show you guys is mobile optimization. So before we go to the next slide and show you how to do video backgrounds, which is essentially very easy, I want to show you all how to do the mobile optimization. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this slide. I'm just going to go ahead and save it. This slide's history. All right. So I'm going to go over here now. All right. And by looking at this, guys, if you guys leave it like this, everything just looks terrible. So this right here is coming off, like the girl can't be seen. It's just, it's all a disaster. We got to fix it for mobile. And you guys can check this by basically just checking how it looks on your mobile device. So you guys can also use the preview function right here. But I would personally just get out your phone and just check it out, just to be extra safe, So right here, I'm gonna say, you know what, this text is way too big. So I wanna go ahead and reduce this to something like 50 pixels. So right here, I have 50, and then over here, I'm gonna do something like 40. Okay, so I have slider revolution. Go and add that. And then maybe even here, I can kind of like, I can maybe even reduce this text, or even just delete it because, for mobile users, you don't want to give them that much stuff to read. People are on the mobile, they're quick, and they're checking their Facebook, and if they're kind of like, oh, it's taking a long time, I'm just going to go ahead and leave, they're probably just going to leave, and that's going to be the end of your website. So right here, I think this right here looks a little bit better. You guys can always like crop the image as well for the back, but I'm not going to do that. And then right here, I'll add this little 5 right here. Okay, so we have this right here, this right here, and this right here. So if you guys want to see how it looks, just simply go ahead and go over here to save. And guys, always double check your phone. Don't take the sliders advice for everything, because I have used it in the past and I have seen that sometimes, even though it says it's optimized, it's not. It's like it plays games. I like to play games. So you guys see now how it looks. Looks pretty good. And you guys will need to click on every single one and change it for virtually every single one. All right. So if you guys have a lot of slides, I kind of feel bad for you because that's going to be a lot of work. But that's basically how you guys can optimize it for mobile. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys is how to add in the video background. And then I'm also going to give you guys additional resources to help you out and other websites that you can use to get a lot of good ideas and also a lot of templates. Okay. So go over here, I'm going to go to add slide. I'm going to add a blank slide. Slide, did I say slide? All right. So right here, you have your YouTube video. All right. And all you need to do is simply I'm gonna go to this one right here. So I'm gonna click on this video right here. All right, now these things right here, these letters right here are the ones you need. So I'm gonna copy that, okay? And I'm gonna go back over here and I'm gonna go ahead and paste that in there. And then right here, we can always go ahead and add in a layer, you know, like I think I did bright lights, right? Bright lights. And then I did center, and then I'll go ahead and do like, I'll leave it white because we're gonna add a video background to it. And then right here, I'll do something like a 180. No, way too big. I'll do something like 150. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and do maybe 140. That's still too big. Then we can add in another layer, which is something like a little bit bottom, like welcome to our website. And I'll go ahead and center align that. And I'll leave that as white. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. And lastly, we can go ahead and add in a call to button or call to action. So for background right here, I'm gonna do a gradient. Let's do this color. Or yeah, we'll do this one. So remember guys, it kind of does that sometimes. So remember, this is the idle state. So this is what it looks like idly. And if someone hover overs it, you're going to need to set it right here. So if you want it the same color, simply select the same color twice. Okay. So I think that looks good. All right. So they hover over it. The text will look a little different. So, but that's fine. Okay. Nope. Did I add it? No, I did not add it. Pick this one. Okay. And I'll go ahead and center align this right here. All right. Now I have the video playing right there. So I'm going to go ahead and save this right now. Oh, sorry. I haven't set a cover image. So you need to have a default one by like it needs to have like a default cover image. You guys can select one of the library or this one, or you can just click on this and select the YouTube video poster. Like it's basically like the thumbnail of it. So I have it right there. Now let's just say I want to go ahead and play it. Now you guys can also play it right here, but sometimes guys, it just doesn't come out too good. You know, it's really hard to see everything. So I'm gonna go click on preview right here instead. All right, so there is my video. It's playing and it has a brief delay. So if you guys don't like that, you guys can actually just upload it to your own server, which I kind of recommend. So right here, you have HTML5 video. You guys can upload your own video right here, and that would probably make a little bit more sense because it would come a little bit faster. But if you don't mind that 1 second delay, it's not too bad, right? It's not too bad. So you guys can also do Vimeo and stuff like that, but that's basically how you guys can have your video. So, and you guys always check it, always check it for your on your own phone and stuff like that. And speaking of phone, I have a announcement that most of these won't play on iOS devices. It's just the way it goes as far as I know. Apple has a big problem with video sliders on iOS devices. Now, what you guys can do is you guys can actually disable that setting under the slider settings. So if you go to slider settings right here, you guys can actually disable the slider on mobile devices. But I wouldn't recommend it. You guys can always just use another one, But really quickly, let's go ahead and go through these general settings. And then I'm also going to talk about transitions with sliders, okay? So right here, we have stop, slide, on, hover. Now guys, most of these options are pretty self-explanatory. So for example, if someone slides, they hover over your slider, the slider will not move. So if you want that, you can select on, etc. You guys have some default sections right here. And you guys also have the default slide duration. So this is basically when these slides will go to the next one, okay? And then you have your animation duration, how long is the animation going to take until the next slide, okay? So you also have layout and visual, appearance. You also have you can create shadow effects. If you want those little dots, you can actually change the dots right there. You can kind of see how they look. Slider background color, most of these we already changed, so we don't need to mess with these too much. For mobile right here, you can disable the slider on mobile if you choose to, or you can also change the Ken's Burned effect on mobile. I gotta be honest, I am not sure if the Ken's Burned effect will play on certain mobile devices. That's still up in the air as far as I'm aware, okay? And then position, you guys can go ahead and, change the position right here, okay? Now, a lot of these other functions, guys, you guys might not use a lot of these. These right here are the arrows. So basically, you see these arrows right here on this little preview. If you want to have these arrows on your slider where people can continually rotate, I would recommend that. You know, I think most websites have that today. And you can also do like bullets instead. If you want to do bullets right here, you can do bullets or tabs or thumbs, etc. So these are basically the things that are on the slide that allow people to go to the next slide or go to the previous slide. Okay, so that's basically like a quick rundown of this. And most of this stuff, guys, is just decoration stuff. You know, I know it's a lot of options, but like for example, the right arrow position. Do you want it to have like 20 pixels, you know, horizontal offsets, etc.? It's very technical stuff, and you guys will probably never run across, you know, you probably won't. Well, I don't know. I've actually run across people who use like everything, but most of these options, guys, we've actually covered all of this. Like, you know, our parallax, you know, we can also disable on mobile, and also you can also, you know, take off the 3D, or you can add the 3D. I've actually used the 3D, guys. It's cool. But it's just for looks. You know, for a very serious website, most people aren't going to use 3D. Maybe for some like design companies, some trendy, you know, the hipster companies, maybe you might have it. But for most business websites, you're not going to have it. It's a lot. It's almost too much. And sometimes it's just kind of like, I don't want to, you know, I don't want that. Here you can check like the overall performance of your slider, etc. Problems handling. If you guys can set the debugging mode and stuff like that, but most of this stuff, guys, is for developers, so you probably won't have to use it. Now, this one is a good feature. So you guys can actually export and import sliders, okay? So if you want to basically take all of your hard work and put it onto another website, you can go ahead and do that right here, okay? And API functions, I don't think most of you guys will use API functions because this is more prone for developers, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to set up your transitions for your slides, because we did not cover that because we didn't have any slides. However, now we do have slides, okay? So right here, I'm going to click on this one. We'll do the first one. All right. Now, I'm going to click on this button right here. Now, we also have the button and the actions. So remember earlier how we had the simple link, how we can just link them to my website under a new window? Now we have the option to go to the next slide, or we can jump to the next slide, and then simply you're going to go ahead and select the slide you want it to jump to when they click on this button, okay? So if they click on this button, it's going to jump to so-and-so slide, okay? That's basically what that means. Or you can set it to the next slide, and then you can add a sort of a delay, like a 2-second delay or something, or, you know, however you want. Or you can, like this right here is going full screen. That means when you click on it, it'll just bring it to the top again. You know, have you ever been to a website that does that? You know, it's like for a one-page, it's for like a one-page website kind of thing. You know, when you want them to go back up, you know, that's what people use this for, okay? So going back up here, so let's just say I want to go ahead and go to my, let's do the slide animations, okay? So slide animations. Now, we didn't cover any of this. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory, okay? So slide simple. So right here, they give you previews of the slides. Just like how we have those animations for the text, we can do the same thing for the slides. So by default, it's set to fade. But let's say you want to do it from like slide to right. Okay, we're going to close this one. Slide to right. Now you can also add a bunch of them. You can add like a few of them. So first it'll do slide to right, and then it'll do slide to left, and then slide to bottom, okay? Now remember, this is for this specific slider. So it's going to transition to this specific slider, okay? So let's go ahead and set it to slide number 2, or I'm gonna go ahead and save this really quick. All right, now I'm gonna go to slide 2 and give you an example, okay? So slide animation, I wanna set it to something. You know, I want it to, let's get crazy here. We got all sorts of stuff, you know? They got all sorts of cool transitions, you know? We'll do this one right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and save that. Now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the slide, okay? So I added this specific transition, okay? So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna go ahead and refresh this page. Now also we have the arrows, guys. See how we have the arrows right here? That's where the arrows were for earlier. So we're gonna go ahead and wait, and there you go. So you see how we have that new transition kind of thing? We have this really cool, maybe that's way too much parallax, you know? We had a lot of parallax, so it kind of came out kind of weird. And remember, if you always want to rotate in between slides, you guys can always click left, you know? So the arrows are pretty cool, you know? I do recommend the arrows because it just helps navigate, you know? So also remember, guys, when you add the parallax effect, be mindful. Like this is way too much, you know, but you guys get the idea. You guys can add it to your backgrounds, etc. So that's basically, guys, a very big summary of the slider revolution. I don't think I left anything out. You know, I've showed you guys how to do transitions. If someone wants to click on like a button right here, it can take them to like the next slide or something like that. I've showed you how to do basically, see, that's like the full screen. See how it kind of goes full screen? So that's basically how you guys use the slider revolution. Do you guys have any questions? Please feel free to let me know, guys. I think I've covered most of this. You know, I think most of it is set in stone. All right. So again, guys, thanks for watching this tutorial. I hope it was very helpful. Please share it. You guys, if you guys know somebody who's trying to use the Slider Revolution plugin and you guys aren't really sure, make sure to share the video. Now, one more thing, guys. If you guys want a lot of templates, which I know you guys want templates, there is a plugin called Sladio. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. Now, there is also a link in the description of this video. It will take you to the plugin. It's called Sladio Slider Templates. And again, the link I provide you guys will take you there. I do get a small commission, but not too much, guys. The affiliate program for Envato is really not that good. So it's really not. They give me like peanuts. So Envato Market. Okay, so it's called see, it's under Code Canyon, and it is Slider Revolution Templates. All right, and this is called Sladio right here. So if you guys want like more templates or something like that for your website, you guys can get this right here. They have tons. They have like 200 demos, guys. So if you guys are looking for something, these guys probably will really help you out. It's only like 25 more bucks, but you know, conversion rates, guys, are the most important part of your website. So I would get it. You know, if I had someone who had a website, I would probably use this, you know, just because the landing page is the most difficult part of a website, let's be honest. So they give you tons of free templates like this, guys. So it's called Sladio, and like I said, it's just amazing. You know, it has really good reviews. So there's the link. You guys can do it. I need money. I'm just kidding. Hey, guys, it has really good reviews, has good sales. So be sure to check it out. Yeah, that's it, guys. Make sure to like this video, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all later.